The opinions expressed are those of the show's staff or management of Port St. Lucie broadcasters. Any reproduction without consent of WSTU and WPSL is strictly prohibited. Now it's time for Quality of Life Radio, brought to you by WellMed. Here are your hosts, Gary Owen and Tom Bouvier.
And hello, good morning, everybody. This is Gary Owen. We want to say thank you to all of our friends listening in on this fabulous, yet another sunny Florida Tuesday morning, September 7th, day after Labor Day. And we hope that everybody had a safe, happy, relaxing, fun, exciting, wind in your hair type of Labor Day holiday. I know that I did. I'm your host, Gary Owen.
And I'm your co-host, Tom Bouvier.
And yep, you are right. You are dialed in and tuned in to the world-famous Red Hot Live Quality of Life radio show, which is proudly sponsored by WellMed, United Healthcare, and Lot Insurance Services. And by the way, we're trying to be streaming live on Facebook. Okay, we are now streaming live on Facebook. Thank you, Evan. And then also you can catch us if you're driving, you can catch us on WPSL 1590 AM and WSTU 1450 AM. Thank you to all of you who are now tuned in and watching us on Facebook Live. And you can catch us live in the studio as well on WSTUtv.com. Thomas, every Tuesday morning I see your face, and I saw it yesterday all day on the high seas.
On the high seas.
Or actually, they were the low seas.
They were the low seas, but it was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
We had a blast sailing up in Melbourne area. So, Gary, we come here every Tuesday morning, and our faithful listeners know what we do, but we bring relevant content to our listeners, information they can actually use. The second reason is we love to support and showcase local businesses and business owners and different nonprofit groups. And we have a wonderful guest here today who will be introduced here in a moment. And thirdly, Gary and I bring information and education about insurance options, and to help you plan that so you could have a better quality of life. And thus the name of the show, Quality of Life Radio Show.
And quite frankly, that is going to be the second part of our show. So the first half of the show, we're going to chat with Stephen here this morning from LPL Financial. And then Tom and I are going to give you just what I call insurance straight talk. So whether it's Medicare, life, health, long-term care, accident, hospital indemnity, whatever it is, we love to provide important insurance solutions and give you some ideas, pitfalls to avoid, and transparency, because quite frankly, it's our mission, Tom,
to simplify insurance planning so you can live the stress-free life that you deserve.
That sounds so wonderful.
It does. It just rolls off the tongue.
Who loves stress? I hate stress.
And who loves to go through all the insurance crap that they have? They have to figure it out and look at this deductible and that and this and that. And
this is not.
They don't know if they're getting in the right plan, and they're hoping and praying they do it on their own. But you have independent insurance brokers who can help navigate.
And that's what we do at Owen Insurance Group. So you can call us at 772-210-1020. We're located. Yes, we have a physical location, brick and mortar, 3,000 square foot. So you can come in and get lost, and we'll show you around. We'll show you our beautiful mural on the wall. If you love castles in Scotland, I commissioned a gentleman in Fort Pierce to paint a castle in our wall in our conference room. So stop by and take a look at it. And this morning we have Stephen Landrusik of LPL Financial with us in studio. So Stephen, good morning.
Good morning, Gary. Good morning, Tom. Thank you for having me.
Yes, very good. Tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself, Steve.
My name is Steve Landrusik. I'm a financial planner, financial advisor. There are a lot of words for us. Even stockbroker I'll listen to. Okay. LPL is our broker dealer.
You forgot Dream Maker.
Dream Maker.
That could be a new one you could add on there. And I'm not even going to charge you for that, Steve.
Well, the last couple of years that seems to be true, but you know, I've managed money through the 2002 period where you come in every single day and it's anything but a dream, you know, and not to mention 2000
Nightmare.
Oh my goodness. But the name of our firm is actually Investment Planning Group. We clear and we're affiliated through LPL. So that was accurate. LPL is an independent broker dealer, similar to what you do on the independent side, where you're not part of this corporate world selling clients some pre-made box corporate solution. You're on the independent side. And I've been doing this for over 20 years, but only on the independent side for 12, 13 years now. And it's one of those decisions that once I made it, I asked myself, why didn't I make it sooner?
Oh,
You
my
know?
God.
I'm in your same boat,
Yeah.
but a little bit
Absolutely.
less years, but similar.
Yeah, yeah.
It's exciting to feel free to offer really what they really need and want.
Right, right. And I think that the general public needs more education. Kind of
Absolutely.
what you're doing to say, you know, some of the independent solutions out there give you more options, not less. And you know, that's really what it's about, because
Absolutely.
when I sit down with a client or a new client, I sit down with a blank piece of paper and a pencil, and that's it. And I want to learn about them, because we're not selling a particular product. We're the product. My team is the product. We have an incredible team of advisors, CPAs on our staff. I'd like to think that we're a very unique type of practice where we are very full service in the approach. And when you're working with a larger company, you're somewhat restricted to those type of solutions. So
That's right.
we've been able to do a lot more on the independent side.
Yeah.
And LPL has been very helpful in that.
Yeah. And they're more cookie cutter type of financial advisory firms that you're referring to. So we get it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So let's back up a second. You sound like you're from Alabama.
Nice. Well,
Are you?
no, I tell people I have this deep Southern accent from South
Georgia?
New York State. You
So,
know?
yeah.
So yeah, New York City born, raised, moved to the Bronx, went to school in Brooklyn, raised my family on Long Island, and then ended up here. You know.
He could pass for Deep South New Orleans,
Okay.
because a whole contingent, like in the 20s, of New Yorkers from the Bronx and
Okay.
moved to New Orleans. And I'll tell you what, all my cousins who lived there all their life, they have this accent. You don't know if they're from New York or New Orleans. I mean,
Right.
it's serious.
Right.
It's,
I thought it was
anyway.
Nolans.
Knowledge. Well,
No.
again, it depends on what part of what street. 2 blocks over, it's New Orleans. Then over here, it's Nolans, and then it's New Orleans. Yeah, I mean, so.
Well, in New York, I didn't have an accent. When I came
That's
down
right.
here, people told me I had an accent. So
Yeah.
I wonder what caused that.
beats me.
So you've been down here for how long, Steve?
19 years. now.
19 years. And you've been in the business for
A little over 20. This is
20, yeah.
Yeah, I've been in the financial industry since 1989, but this side of the industry I started doing around 2000.
fantastic.
Right at the top of the tech market. I'm like, wow, this looks like a really great place to be.
All right. So tell us a little bit about your business.
All right. Well, we have 4 advisors right now. One happens to be a CPA. And we're actually in the process of moving our business. We're on Canner Highway in Solano. We've kind of outgrown that. And starting November 1st, we'll be on Indian Street. And not to one up you, but we're going to have 5,000 square feet.
I heard, yeah. I heard that you were moving
Right.
into a larger facility.
But no mural. So I have to talk to your guy about painting a mural. I think I need permission from the landlord, though. I don't know.
it'll be a Bronx Bridge, right?
Exactly. And we're being joined by the CPA firm of Gilman, Shapiro, and Dilmuth, who,
Oh, I know, Steve.
yeah, well, Steve's on my staff as well. So he
Tell him I
has,
said hello.
I will. He actually has the unique distinction of being a licensed financial advisor and a licensed certified public accountant. And having someone like that as a member of our team is very important, because you know, so many times a financial advisor will give advice, and we're not supposed to give tax advice. Doesn't mean we can't consult and work with a CPA. It just means we can't be the one signing on tax returns, and we shouldn't be. You should kind of let us be in our lane, but we need somebody else in that car, right? So Stephen's kind of that bridge, and he's a partner at Gilman, Shapiro, and Dilmuth, and we've been working together for about 12 years now. So the move kind of solidifies that move a bit more, and it brings all 3 CPAs under the roof with us, and we'll be better staffed and so forth. So to be able to sit down with the client and talk to them about their tax issues as well as their planning issues and insurance issues. We are in the insurance business, but I think a little different from what you guys do. And it's not uncommon for us to bring in an insurance person for a consult when we feel it's a little bit outside of our lane as well.
Right. That's interesting. So we could put our 3,000 foot office in your 5,000
and have
And it comes
2,000 left.
and it comes with a mural, Steve.
I love it.
All right. So tell us about some of the financial solutions that you provide to consumers.
Right. Well, and thanks for asking that. It's hard to do that without talking about my team because that's really part of it, right? And I make sure that my clients understand that when they open up their statement and they see products in there, anybody could have put those products in there, right? So what we really bring to the table is my team. So we're 4 advisors. Depending on what the client's needs are, sometimes there'll be 2 advisors on the case, sometimes there'll be 3 or even 4 advisors.
And who are your 3 other advisors?
Okay, so you have Stephen Dillamuth, who
Yep.
you already know.
Yep.
You have Peggy Kelleher, who's our newest advisor, and she came from one of the big box firms. And in fact, I was a part of the management structure in one of the big box firms years ago. I'm not sure if I should mention that name, but it's a great firm. I loved working with them, truthfully. And Peggy was one of my trainees 15 years ago. So I trained her, and I know she was trained right. So I've been after her for many, many years.
Excellent.
Okay. She finally joined our practice. And then we have Jason Reed, who's actually a martial arts expert, and he still does that. But I think he was looking for something several years ago. And he's part of what I call my farm system, where I trained him from scratch. He didn't come over from another firm. He didn't bring any luggage with him. We didn't have to break something down to bring it back up. He learned my way. And Jason gravitated to the financial planning part of it, right? So I think a lot of people benefit from a financial plan, but I also don't think everybody has to have a financial plan. I mean, that's hard coming from someone like me, because most financial planners will say, hey, everybody needs to get a financial plan done first. Well, part of being a fiduciary, and all 4 of us are, we have to be mindful of the fees that our clients pay. And we charge them $200 an hour for financial planning, and we're worth it for those people who require it. But if you're a retired person, you've done all of the right things. Your house is paid off. You're done. We need to talk about maybe a little bit of legacy planning, but that's light conversational work. Maybe we'll bring in an attorney and so forth. So Jason comes in where someone's life is really kind of messed up, and we need to put it down in paper for them and say, look, you need a roadmap. So that's a really important part of what we do, although not everybody goes through the financial planning process, but those that do go through Jason, because he's about as good as I've seen. He gets people talking about what's important to them. A lot of times clients won't even think about something. They'll leave the office thinking about things that they didn't come in thinking about. And that's thanks to Jason. Jason's really good at getting people to come out and talk about things. Peggy's a little bit on the aggressive side of things. A day doesn't go by where Peggy doesn't look at one of my portfolios. I should mention I'm an in-house portfolio manager. One of my accreditations is in a portfolio as a
Very cool.
Yeah. So I'm an in-house portfolio manager. When you come in, you're talking to the guy who's managing the portfolios, right? And a day doesn't come by where Peggy doesn't walk up to me and say, you need more technology in those portfolios. And she has access to the branch. So she pulls up my personal account and she says, you don't have Apple, you don't have Amazon. And she starts going through it with me. But she's a little bit on the aggressive. Now, aggressive is good in the proper context, right? When someone is either able to take the risk, understand the risk, and yield the opportunities that come along with that, or sometimes the failure. A little bit of the growth aspect of the financial planning or the investment planning is important. So Peggy kind of brings that to the table, and I kind of allocate how much. Well, Peggy, we're not going to put 100% of the money in Amazon, and she's not going to do that either, obviously. But she represents that. And then Steve, of course, being a certified public accountant and a financial advisor, we kind of loop him in, and we've had a couple of cases with something called net unrealized appreciation stock. And I don't really want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but it's a tax play for people who have company stock in their retirement plan, and they leave that retirement plan, and they don't have to pay ordinary income on that. They can pay long-term capital gains on that. But it's a very specific process. And again, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but having somebody on our team that really understands some of the, I don't want to use the word loophole because that has a bad, ring to it, but to understand the Internal Revenue Code and how to get around certain things. It's huge.
Yeah, no, it's important. It's
Yeah.
just powerful to have that on your team. We're going to go on our first break, and then when we come back, Steve, we're going to grill you some more. Maybe grill some hamburgers and hot dogs. Actually,
That sounds good.
And by the way, for those of you that are trying to figure out what is going on, you're listening to the one and only Red Hot Live, world famous Quality of Life radio show with Gary Owen and the Booze. So we'll be back in just a few minutes, so don't touch that dial. Welcome back from our short break. You're listening to the Quality of Life radio show. A big thank you, by the way, out to one of our sponsors, Lot Insurance Services. You can trust them for all of your home, auto, boat, business insurance needs. If you're even a sailboat, Tom, if you're looking to save a lot, call the Lot Brothers. They're located on US 1, just north of Midway Road in St. Lucie County. And also one of our loves of our lives, the lovely Tanner. Tanner is one of our sponsors, WellMed Medical. And you know that a great primary care physician is always in great demand. And so many clients today and patients don't have either a primary care provider, or maybe they're not happy with their current primary care provider. So go check out WellMed Medical for all of your primary care needs. And they have 4 convenient locations right here in the Treasure Coast. When we went on break, hopefully you took a nice tinkle, freshened your cup of joe. We are talking this morning with Stephen Landerswick of Investment Planning Group and about financial planning. And how important is it, Steve, for, let's say, a person coming out of college, they have this huge debt, and that they've taken on a great job. They're making maybe $80,000 a year, whatever that number is. It's irrelevant, quite frankly. But how important it is for that 22-year-old to start financial planning process?
I think it's very important, but not done a lot. That's a great question. One of the things that we do is 401k education. We have a lot of large corporate clients where we go on site and educate them, and we talk to a lot of those. And it's really a toss-up, because although I know it's important that they start early, because we've all done the math and we said, well, if we started this at 22, this is where we'd be. And many of us who even are the successful ones amongst us will look back and say, wow, if I started early, right? So the answer is very important, right?
Very.
But the other thing you bring up, though, is that when you're out of school and you have all of this student loan debt, and that's really weighing down people, and it's weighing down, it'll weigh down the economy in time, because spending money on servicing debt is not the same as spending money into the economy. So if we get to the point where the people graduating with 80, 100, $150,000 worth of debt, they can't buy a car, they can't buy a house, they can't save it, because all they're doing is, that debt is choking them. So I'd say it's important to go through the planning process. It's important to start investing, but the planning part of it is good too, because you have to address that debt. And whether I'm talking to a millennial with student loan debt, or someone who's getting ready to retire in, say, 10 years, and maybe they've got 15 years left on the mortgage, and say, look, we need to put you on a path so that the day you retire, you don't have a mortgage. So the debt side of the equation is very important no matter how old you are. And I do find that some people who are too aggressive at savings, and that's something that people in my business are not going to say. They're going to say, no, put money in, I mean, if you're a hammer, everybody's a nail, right? So just everybody invest money, right? But what I've also seen too much is when a young person sees that and says, great, and I want to do that, and they get overly involved in that, and they neglect the debt side of the equation. 5 years goes by and they still have big mountain debt and so forth, and often they wind up cashing in on that 401k plan, or they leave the job. Instead of transferring that asset, they're so badly in debt that they sell it, and then they pay the 10% penalty, they pay the taxes and so forth. So I'd say it's important, but it's also important not to stretch yourself where that's the only thing that's important to you, because paying down that student loan debt is very important as well. And I would say take control over it. People will often say, well, I'll throw an extra $50 at it, or I'll double the payment, or whatever the case is. They may have multiple debts. Mm-hmm. So we say, look, come up with an amount that you can put into total debt service, right? Start with the lowest interest rate, just make the minimum payments on all of those. And then the highest interest rate, pile it into that. And then when that's gone, do the same thing and so forth. So when you have debt, whether it's student loan debt or anything else, or a mortgage where you want to shorten that time, don't just arbitrarily throw money at it. Have a plan, have a date certain. Say, take control over your finances and say, if I do this, or how much do I have to pay to have that done in 5 years or 10 years and so forth. This way, when you're making the extra payment, it's not just arbitrarily. It's not throwing it into this pit. It's doing it with a goal in mind. And you pat yourself in the back, you give yourself a gold star. Hey, I accomplished something. So you want to always be the one in control. You want to be proactive, not reactive to a situation. And that includes your savings. It also includes your debt, your personal balance sheet. I encourage everyone once a year to do a budget on themselves, to do a personal balance sheet, assets and liabilities. And then next year, look at it again and see if that number improves. If that number doesn't improve year after year after year, there's something that you need to, do, because that number should get better every year, not worse.
That's an awesome point.
Yeah.
Excellent point. Another segment of our population too, Steve, are small business owners like myself. And there's a lot of small business owners out there who are just wandering aimlessly. They don't have a plan. They're trying to make ends meet. They go to work every day, 7 days a week. And obviously we're in a very unique situation with the economy as it is today. And maybe that's not the point, but still there's a lot of people out there that don't have a game plan, don't have a path. How can you help those small business owners?
Right. Well, first of all, you want to talk about the benefits package if they're a small business owner, because that's part of it. It benefits you, it benefits your employees. It's amazing how few business owners look at their employees and don't look at them as an important asset to their business, right?
Correct.
And when you look at the income statement of most businesses, employees are pretty high up there in terms of the percentage. In some cases, it's the highest number or second highest number if you're buying widgets and so forth, right? And, if I was to look at widgets and I'm in the widget business, I want to make sure that those widgets are made of quality, right? However, we look at our employees, our work staff, and we don't look at that the same way. We don't say, hey, we want to keep that person because they're producing very well. Well, how do I do that, right? Maybe it's a 401k plan. Maybe it's a different type of deferred compensation plan and so forth. So I would talk to the small business owner about certainly the things they want to accomplish, because reinvesting in your own business is I'd say in some cases even better than Wall Street. If you know what you're doing and you're building your own business, it's great. And you can
Spot
do,
on.
and you can do both, by the way. You could absolutely do both. So you want to take advantage of some of the tax benefits you have as a business owner, whether it's a 401k plan, and they have smaller plans called simple IRAs that don't require a lot of documentation and paperwork and so forth. And you have to include your employees because, the IRS is funny about that. They don't want us loading up our own 401k plan and ignoring everybody else. But you may also find that you're going to get more productivity out of that workforce. And from a cash flow standpoint, it may not cost you as much as you think, right? Because pension expense is a deductible expense for businesses. If you participate, and what I'd say to the small business owner, consider some of the benefits packages, including the retirement plan. But make sure it's something that you're going to participate in, because if you max out that 19,005, or those of us over 50, which, by the way, I want to thank Debbie Greer for booking me on the show, because I came in right before someone was talking about being over 50 and overweight. Okay, so
you're okay with
I wasn't. It was the person before us. So I want to thank Debbie for booking me on that. Right.
And a shout out to Debbie. Hey, Debbie, good to have you with us.
We love Steve.
Yeah, but if you use it, if you're the business owner and you say, well, if I'm over 50, I can put 26,000 or 26.5, whatever it is this year, right? And then I can do profit sharing up to 25% of total compensation. You have to include your employees in that and so forth. But when you look at the tax benefit that you're going to get personally, the expenses that you incur by participating in your employees' match and things like that, right? It's not as much as you think, because you're getting the tax deduction on one side. I'm not saying it's a push. In some cases it is. If it's, free employee type of situation, sometimes from a cash flow standpoint, if the owner is taking advantage of that plan, their tax benefit is going to offset a lot of the expenses. Now, if you're going to have 10 or 20 or 30 employees, that's not going to be the case, but you'll have a much more productive workforce. And ultimately, I think your business will do better as a result of it.
Agreed, 100%. And we just started a 401k January of this year, so it's important.
Max it out.
So
Yeah.
And when you hit 50,
Well, we mean when, Steve?
when you hit it.
Don't worry, we're taking advantage
it's
of
going to be
that.
250 years in this room.
Man, we feel like Methuselah.
Yeah. I have a question, Steve. So, who would be your ideal clients right now? Of course,
Okay.
you're always looking to build. Everyone's looking to build
Sure.
their client base.
Sure.
What is your ideal client?
I get that question a lot, and I haven't set out to say this is the client that I want. I know that if I was training financial advisors again, I would tell them to do that, and I actually haven't done that. But what's happened just organically is a good part of our book of business is the 55 to 75-year-old person who's either 10 years from retirement or is in retirement. And we do have a lot of business owners and engineers, which are an interesting type in their own right.
Yeah, I would agree.
but we do work well with people who are transitioning in their life, whether they're transitioning into retirement, whether transitioning into the legacy form. As you know, in the insurance world, there's accumulation, there's distribution, right? So those people who are already retired have more than they're ever going to need. Now the conversation is, tell me about your family, right? Tell me about what's important to you when you're no longer here, right? Do you want to manage those money, the money that you have from the grave? Not to be morbid, but is that what you really want to do? Are they charities in mind? I have one client that started off with 2.5 million in Apple stock. And she'd sell some stock from time to time, and she's very generous, and she has a list of 10 charities that we give to on a regular basis. And I said, look, just give me the names of these charities. I'm going to call them up. I'm going to send them a few shares of Apple stock every month, and we'll send it to them in kind, and we're not going to pay taxes on the sale of the Apple stock, right? So whether you're transitioning into retirement, whether you're transitioning into, well, my legacy, what do I want to do? Do I want to make a difference? What's important to me? So it's family often, but sometimes it's other organizations. I have one fellow who went to parochial school. He wasn't Catholic, but he went to parochial school, and he felt that it was very helpful. And he has no children. So he had us write a scholarship, an annual grant where it was an insurance product that goes into what they call a pre-election, where the insurance product is going to give that school a certain amount of money every year for 10 years to pay for a scholarship.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So it's my client is the person who wants to accomplish them, who wants to transition into something, because that's where we really do well. And in terms of asking me what's a good mutual fund, stock, or bond, I guess my advice is as good as anybody else in my business, right? But what we do very well, and I say we as a team, is help people get from here to there. Because, you know, in sales, in early stages of sales, they teach you your biggest obstacle is the status quo, what people are doing now, right? Because people do not like changing things.
Yep.
But in life, whether it's a retirement or death, these are things that you may not want to change, but they're going to come up on you. So again, be proactive. Those clients are good for us because we help them during those transitionary times.
I love that. I love I think my big takeaway today with you this morning was the fact that you have a CPA who has financial background, right? Along with your advisors. So it's a symbiotic relationship that I think that everyone should be taking care of, taking advantage of.
Absolutely.
So that's fantastic. We appreciate that. We are, oh, by the way, why don't you let everybody know how to reach you, what's your website, and so forth.
Okay, great. Name of the firm, as you said, is Investment Planning Group. We clear through LPL Financial, who's our broker dealer. Securities licenses are absolutely useless unless you have a broker dealer to attach it to. And if you speak to a financial advisor who doesn't have a broker dealer and they self-clear their business, run.
Exactly.
Because that's what Bernie Madoff did back in the day,
right.
right? So from now to November 1st, you can reach us on Kerner Highway in Solano. We're in the public shopping center. But again, we outgrew that. We're going to be a little bit more executive, a little bit more I don't want to use the word high end, but our new offices are built a little bit more high end. So on November 1st, you can reach us on Indian Street, 730 and 740, the two locations, Southeast Indian and right next to Giuseppe's. Okay. Our website's not going to change, www.planipg.com, like financial planning, and IPG for the investment planning group. Our phone number is not going to change. Our phone number is 772-233-4315. And my email address is steve@planipg. I'd be happy to hear from anybody. Anybody wants to email me a question, even if you're not a potential client of mine and you just want to tell me how poorly I did on the show.
Well, actually, you did very well because
Yes.
typically we'd have had cut you off about 7 minutes ago, Steve. So you kept us on very nicely. So we
Excellent.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Great job.
Good information.
Thank you.
Love this.
For those of you out there that don't have a investment planning firm that you're working with, or you may not be happy with the results, or you may not like them, give Stephen.
Most of our
Okay.
clients do come from someplace else because they're not happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you got to be happy. You got to make sure your money's going in the right direction. So before our next break, we got 2 minutes before the next break. And I want to make sure that everyone is aware, especially our seniors out there, about the free COVID shot for seniors. So if you are a senior, you can't get out, where you'd rather have someone come to you, what will happen is they will provide you free transportation to get your COVID shot, or they can come to your front door and administer it there. You can call 1-800-96-ELDER. It's 1-800-963-5337 if you're looking to get your vaccine. And also the health fun fact. We always do one fun fact on each show. And since this pertains to me, my sailor friend, exercise will give you more energy, even when you're tired. Look at his face. He looks tired. So we will just have to get him some exercising, do some calisthenics, jumping jacks, and he will look vibrant.
Coming up on a break.
In no time.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go on our second break, and you're listening to the Quality of Life radio show on WSTU 1450 AM, America's Heritage Station, and WPSL 1590 AM. We'll be right back.
kind of know it. Welcome back from our short break. You're listening to the Quality of Life radio show, and a big thank you to one of the sponsors of our show, and that is United Healthcare. Did you know that you can enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that includes access to their statewide provider network? And that's why now is the time to take advantage of a plan from United Healthcare. And with United Healthcare and Medicare Advantage plan, you get more for your Medicare dollar, including benefits like $0 copays for covered preventative dental services, $0 copays for lab services, and access to the United Healthcare and Medicare National Network. So talk to a licensed representative today about United Healthcare and Medicare Advantage plans. And who do you think those licensed agents would be, Gary?
I think they would be anyone associated with this dynamic, independent organization called Owen Insurance Group.
Absolutely. And all of our agents are contracted with United Healthcare as well as other carriers. So give us a call and we can help find a great plan for you.
And by the way, speaking of Medicare, we are exactly 39 days and counting for the big day, Tom. The big day.
The big day. It's like counting down to the Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
Or the Daytona 500.
And as soon as that shot goes off, we're off to the races.
We're off to the races. Everyone with a Medicare Advantage prescription drug plan.
Ask Steve if he knows what 39 days means.
39
So-
days.
so-
mean? Oh,
I'm guessing it's the beginning of open enrollment.
Look at
Wow.
that. Way to go,
Yes,
Steve.
he is.
I ran out of fingers, but I was
Ah.
trying to count while you were talking.
Well, I thought you had 25 toes.
Yes, feels like that.
October 15th through December 7th, everyone on a Medicare plan can talk to an agent and look at plans for 2022 because a lot of changes typically happen in plans.
So since that, we're in that time frame, Tom and I are going to kind of spend the next part of the year, towards the end of the year, actually, and talking with you about not only in the Medicare open enrollment, but also the individual ACA health insurance open enrollment, which begins November 1st. So 2 weeks after the Medicare open enrollment, now we're in another race for the ACA open enrollment period, which we believe we hear through the grapevine that will be extended now till the end of December instead of till December 15th. But Tom and I will share some great information with you. So one of the things I think, Tom, we should talk about in the 15 minutes that we have left this morning is for those clients who are on a Medicare supplement plan, because there's so many consumers out there just absolutely lost when it comes to Medicare. And they're relying on JJ Dynamite or the other
New
guy,
York Jets,
the
dinosaur football player.
Yeah, I was gonna.
God bless him. We
gonna-
love him.
I was going to say something that probably
Yeah.
would not have been appropriate, but nonetheless, don't go to a football Hall of Famer or a celebrity for your Medicare. I'm going to just tell you right now, if you do,
Thank you.
you're destined to fall into the sand trap and maybe not be able to get out.
And we have so many clients who, after they listen to them and call those phone numbers and get their Medicare all mixed up, what do? They come crawling to our door. Yeah. Some of them even apologize. I'm so sorry. I got sucked in. I should have listened to you. I said, I'm only in it for you. So they're not. Well, anyway.
That's important, folks.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, listen, if you are having financial difficulties and you want to invest your money, you don't go to a plumber. You go to Steve. You go to
come to me.
Financial advisor, right? Exactly. If you are sick and you have an ailment, you go to a physician. If you've got leaky pipes and you got to go to a plumber, you're not going to go to Joe Namath.
A urologist.
Come on, folks. Yeah, or that also. All right. I mean, if you are leaking, that's a good point. So anyway, in all seriousness, you really need to seek out, whether it's our group or someone else that you might know. But one of the couple most important facts you should consider. Number one, Steve alluded to it earlier about being independent, right?
Yeah.
That is absolutely essential. You need to work with a agency or an agent who has independent in front of their name. And it's quite different. You ask, you ask, what? Well, but Gary, what's the difference between working with an independent agent versus another type of agent, Tom?
It's very clear, and the distinction is this: one who is a non-independent, meaning they're captive, or they are only representing one company. They're representing that company towards you, and their small list of products that they have may or may not be the best fit for you. But an independent insurance broker, though we're appointed with that carrier as well as all the other ones, in this case, all the Medicare carriers in Martin and St. Lucie County, Owen Insurance Group will be representing, but we're really representing you toward those carriers. We find out all your needs, as Steve, exactly what we do. We have our piece of paper and we just ask questions. It's a needs dialogue, primary care, medications, what's important to you in a plan, budget, et cetera, and we find the best plan. And many times we can give you one or two options, but we pretty much narrow it down to say, here's the one we really recommend. And because we are fiduciaries, we're working in your best interest, and we have the ability to put you in a plan and make a recommendation that really is best for you. And when I said some of the clients, we put them in the best plan for them, and somehow they've second guessed us, and they heard a TV commercial and they got mixed up and they got switched to another plan, and then they realized, oops. And I said, oh, how many carriers did that agent represent or appointed with? They said they only with two people. I said, and I'm with all of them. And they come back and realize. So an independent insurance broker is someone you would want to talk to.
Very important. Very well said. So, and also for those of you who are on a Medicare supplement plan and you are being admonished that you can switch your plan, or that you should switch your plan, number one, like Steve said earlier about a certain financial advisory firm, run away. Don't walk, don't crawl, run away from those types of people that are trying to take you away and off of your Medicare supplement plan. Now we're talking about supplement, not advantage. And I know many of you out there listening really don't understand the difference between the two. And this is how we can educate you. And it's important that you do know the difference, because
Absolutely.
It can cause you great stress in the months and maybe years to come if you don't realize what you have. So for those of you that are on a Medicare supplement, you have your original Medicare A and B, you have a standalone Part D, you're on a supplement plan, you need to do nothing but pay your bill. That's all you have to do. And you will stay in your Medicare supplement plan for as long as you want to be in that plan. And listen, and for those of you that are out there and on a supplement plan, there are numerous carriers here on the Treasure Coast. There's over 20 carriers that you can get your Medicare supplement with. And it's also important that you have the right carrier to work with, because there are certain carriers out there who may be in the industry in the Medicare space for less than 5 years, who maybe don't have a great financial rating, and they buy a large block of business at a low premium to get you to sign up, and then they raise their rates, and now you're sick and tired of these high rate increases down the road, and you say, okay, well, guess what? It's time for me to switch to another carrier, another company, because you are raising my rates excessively. And now you have a pre-existing condition that precludes you from qualifying in the other company's supplement plan. Now you are stuck where you're at. So that's why you should pick up the phone and dial 772-210-1020 or
772-210-1020.
I like yours better, Tom.
I do too.
It has a nice ring off the tongue.
It does.
So 772-210-1020. Call the professionals at Owen Insurance Group, and we will sit down and we will do a needs analysis with you. We will conduct proper, professional, methodical Medicare planning, and we will make the recommendation. And if you're on the most appropriate plan, you can be rest assured we're going to tell you you're well off. Stay right where you're at, and come back and see us next year.
Absolutely. That's what a fiduciary does. They work for you, for your best interest, and would never consider recommending something that's not for your best interest, because we know sooner or later you'll know. You'll find out if what we said is true or not, if it really is the best recommendation for you, best option for you.
So secondly, now that you've got that straight, now the supplement versus Medicare Advantage, we'll talk about Medicare Advantage on our next show. There is just not enough time to talk about Medicare Advantage plans on this show. But what I do want to chat with you about, if for those of you who are on a supplement plan, yes, now you know that you do not have to do a single thing about your Medicare supplement. However, you do have, or you should have, and if you don't, you better be picking up the phone today and call us. But if you don't have a standalone prescription drug plan or a Part D plan, then that is when you need to have an annual review. And we've got folks in our office who will do just that. The new plans will come out effective October 1. So we'll be able to look at your new prescription drug plans after October 1. And the drug formularies change every single year. So what company you had this year and whatever tier level that the drug you were on may not be the same for next year. So when that change happens, you will receive from a letter from the carrier called an ANOC, which is the annual notice of change. That's something that you should not throw away. You should scrutinize and you should review it to be sure that nothing has changed, and most likely things will change. They don't send you an ANOC if nothing has changed. So take a look at your ANOC, and if it's confusing, which we know that it is, we don't even have to tell you that. You will pick it up and read it, and you will see that you are reading gibberish. So pick up the phone, give us a call, 772-210-1020, and we will go over that with you, and we will find the most appropriate drug plan. Because if you don't make a plan, and if you do nothing and you keep your head in the sand and you act like an ostrich, then you're going to have problems. And then typically what we see is they have high out-of-pocket cost. Now your tier 1 becomes a tier 2, or your tier 2 becomes a tier 4, or that drug, that specialty drug that you're taking no longer is on that formulary, and now you are in major problems you're going to have. So make sure that you pick up the phone, call us, and we will be happy to review your prescription drug plan for you. And again, there are new plans coming out for 2022, and new formularies will be coming out. Remember, not until October 1st. We cannot do the enrollment for you or with you until the 15th of October. However, we can certainly talk with you about the plan formulary changes if you're interested. So that being said, we covered the Medicare open enrollment, which begins October 15th through December 7th. Your effective date for the new plan will be January 1, 2022. Now, for those of you who are under 65 and you're like, I haven't gotten there yet, but I am looking forward to getting on a Medicare plan to save on a lot of money, man. I want to put those premium dollars back into my bank account and invest it with Steve or whatever. So I will tell you that the ACA open enrollment, for those of you who don't have a group plan, who might be relying on an individual plan, you certainly want to give us a call. There are 3 new carriers that will be coming on the Treasure Coast this year. So in addition to, we all know that the Blues have given us the blues for many years, and they've been the main folks in town for years, and the only game in town. They had a monopoly on health plans in our area. So now, obviously, we have Oscar Health. Now we have Ambetter. We now have Cigna. And now for 2022, in addition to those new 3 carriers, we are also going to have United Healthcare and Aetna and Bright Health. So now Florida Blue has 6 additional competitors that's going to give them a run for their money for 2022. So due to the ARPA Act of 2021 that President Biden signed in March or April, you will have the opportunity to have higher tax subsidies and tax credits, meaning really at the end of the day that you will have a lower premium. So Tom, how important is it for people to give us a call?
It's so important, Gary, because no one thinks about insurance, or for our guest here, a lot of times they don't think about financial planning, doing it early, doing it ahead of time, being prepared. But no one thinks about their health insurance until all of a sudden they have to go to a doctor. They have to go to the emergency room. They have to have follow-up visits. They have to go inpatient for a procedure or an accident or sickness puts them in the hospital. And they say, oh my gosh, I didn't know I had this responsibility or this payment, when they could have prepared in advance, not expecting and not hoping for some disaster or some health issue, but just knowing that health issues are going to come up because we're human beings and our bodies give out at times, or we have accidents. So preparing and finding the best plan, letting an agent who you can trust, and you can trust the agents at Owen Insurance Group, because we're not going to get paid more by putting them in one plan versus the other. And it's not, we have that fiduciary responsibility to listen to you, find your doctors, your medication, what's important to you, and put you in the right plan, make the recommendation, let you see it in black and white. Say, well, I think I should go with this one. Well, here's that benefits and here's this benefits. And this one is much lower in the monthly premium and the deductible and the copay. You're going to save a lot. Plus, you're going to get this benefit. So we can find a plan that really is best for you.
And if for those of you that have parents, grandparents who may be on Medicare, give them our contact information. Again, you can have them contact Owen Insurance Group at 772-210-1020. And if you're looking for a great CPA, financial and investment planning group here in Stewart, contact them at 233-4315. So thank you for joining us today. And next week, Tom, who are we going to have as a special guest on our show?
Drum roll. Gary, we are going to have a mystery guest.
Oh, we love mystery guests.
We love mystery guests.
Definitely want to be on our
to miss our mystery.
What's the middle name of the mystery guest?
That's a mystery too.
Okay. And by the way, you want to come back just to find out who that, because we don't know who that mystery guest is yet either. So, and Tom and I will continue.
They are booked, but there's a mystery to
providing
us.
valuable information and planning solutions. Thanks for joining us, folks. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please share us with your friends, family, neighbors, and remember, stay safe, keep healthy, be happy, and enjoy your quality of life.